Hello, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you guys are today. I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're right about at the top of the hour. We've got a lot to cover today, so I want to dive right in. Welcome to our top 10 most common marketing mistakes in veterinary medicine webinar. I'm glad you guys are here with us. For those of you who may have joined us for our COVID-19 town hall webinar, it's great to have you back with us again. If you're new to an iVet360 webinar, welcome. We're glad you chose to spend the hour with us. I hope you find it useful. Like I said, I've got a full slide deck for you all today covering the top 10 mistakes that we typically see hospitals making with their marketing in the industry, as well as some tips on how you can correct some of these mistakes, and then some examples from some iVet360 clients that you can put into practice at your own hospital. Let's get this going. My name is Kate. I'm a Senior Marketing Manager at iVet360. I'll be walking you through the webinar today. In addition, we also have Drew Vandenberg, who's our Managing Director of Marketing, on the questions feed. So if you have a question, need a clarification on anything that we cover in the presentation, go ahead and pop that in the questions tab in the control panel. As opposed to raising your hand. If you raise your hand in the webinar, we won't see you. But if you pop that question over in the tab, Drew will do his best to answer that for you or provide clarification if you need it. Also, a link of all of today's slides will be emailed to registrants and will be made available at ivet360.com for sharing as well. So feel free to take some notes, but don't fret if you miss something along the way. We've got a lot to cover, and these will be available for you after the fact. Before we dive into our webinar, I just want to give you a quick glance at iVet360. If you're not familiar, and I just realized I'm not showing you a screen. There we are. You guys should see it now. If you're not familiar with iVet360, we're going to talk about marketing today, but we provide sort of a three-prong approach for optimizing practice performance in the areas of HR and training, finance and analytics, as well as marketing. So we offer these three services standalones, but we see that by far and large, the most successful and best performing practices are those that utilize all three services together. And while marketing can significantly increase your hospital's presence and accelerate new client growth, really, we want to make sure that optimal operation health of your practice comes from those three key areas and closing that marketing loop to make sure that you're maximizing revenue. So if you're interested, you can always learn more about iVet360 and what we do as a whole holistic approach at iVet360.com. Okay. Without further ado, now that you guys can actually see my screen, let's dive right in. So top 10 mistakes that we see. Let's start with mistake number 1. You are not your client. Thinking about your hospital marketing from the perspective of you, from your perspective only. And this is one of the biggest mistakes that we actually see. So we're all tempted to dismiss an idea, right, or a strategy simply because we don't like it. As a doctor or a practice manager, you have incredible skills in your area of expertise, but likely you're not anything like your target client. So don't assume that your clients share the same values and interests that you do. So when you're thinking about your marketing strategy through the lens of what works on you, you're essentially doing a disservice to your hospital marketing success. So to truly understand your target market requires that holistic view of the general population, and most importantly, the ability to think beyond yourself. Right? So one of the biggest things we see is, why do I need to incorporate technology or social media into my marketing strategy? Just because you don't use it doesn't mean that your clients don't, right? More than 80% of your clients have smartphones, right? If you've taken a peek into your lobby anytime recently, everybody is on their phones while they're waiting for your appointment. They're on their phones and they check it on average 150 times a day. So clients typically read 98% of text messages and push notifications that come through to their phone within minutes, hours, and at least that same day that those come through. Your clients are spending more time on phones and tablets than they are on their home computers. And most of that time is spent using native apps on those phones and not actually their web browser. 1 in 5 Americans depend solely on their smartphone for internet access at home. And on average, most people have over 7 social media accounts and spend upwards of 142 minutes a day on those social media channels, right? If we look at Instagram alone, it has over 1 billion users, and 3% of those are in that 55 to 64 age demographic, but 70% are under the age of 35. So if you're looking to target a younger, more affluent crowd, using social media and getting technology on board is where you need to be, right? So social media, so here's a quick tip, can also be a really easy and accessible way to do some client audience research. It can be a very useful tool to do some quick research, right? We can look at what your clients are saying about you online. We're going to dive a little deeper into reputation management later on in the presentation, but looking up and tracking what people are saying about your business can be very eye-opening and can give you really valuable insights into your operations, your services, and your overall brand. It also helps you pay attention to the type of content that your clients are posting and sharing. People are very vocal on social media about what they like and what they don't like. And again, this is going to give you really good insights. Also take notes of the other brands, businesses, especially competitors that your clients are following and engaging with on social media. Because again, this is going to get you a better idea of your competition. It's going to give you insights into what your clients may or may not, or excuse me, what your competitors may or may not be offering, and give you an idea of what's more enticing to your clients and prospective clients. So just a quick tip. When it comes to your marketing as well, again, thinking beyond yourself, you must insist on having some sort of baseline level of research and analytics on your target market, right? So again, you are not your client. If you better understand your target market, you're going to better be able to craft your marketing messages to capture the right people. When it comes to marketing, it pays to be targeted. So remember, when you speak to everyone, you essentially are speaking to no one. So you need to be very specific on those target clients that you're going after. You can use basic location and demographic intelligence to better understand your specific target. And if you're working with a marketing company, you should 100% ask for this. So at iVet360, we offer location intelligence reporting for each marketing client that we work with that outlines various demographic segmentations and gives us a weighted list of targeted zip codes in the market that ranks prospective clients by their quote unquote marketing desirability. So this gives us an educated guess essentially of where marketing for our clients is going to be successful, as opposed to essentially throwing marketing dollars into the wind and seeing what sticks. So if you have the ability to do segmentations and to be specific in your marketing, I highly encourage you to do this to help you zone in on those target clients. So when we're looking at segmentations, we can look at basic ones, right? Basic segmentations are easy. These are your geographic segmentations, which is based on geographic borders, zip codes, cities, neighborhoods, etc. You can dive a little deeper with some demographic and socioeconomic segmentations as well, like gender, age, household income, occupation, household size, where you're at in the family life cycle. Are you a dual income, no kids? Are you a family of 4? Are you empty nesters? These are all going to give you a better idea of where you should be targeting those efforts. If you can and have the ability, you can dive in even further. You can look at psychographic segmentation. So grouping clients with similar attitudes, values, and lifestyles. You can look at behavioral segmentations, right? How loyal are they to your practice? You can also look at product-related segmentation, which for this industry may not be very specific, but you can look at how clients behave in relationship to a specific product or service. So again, those are advanced segmentations. One thing that you guys can actually do in your practice today, most hospitals, I would say, or a significant number of hospitals are using Facebook ads or at least boosting well-performing posts on Facebook. So you can actually use target audience in your digital ad strategy in both Google ads if you're running those and Facebook ads or Facebook boosts. So this is going to allow you to be more accurate when choosing who is going to see your ads and boosts. So depending on your structure and what campaigns you're running, you can actually target users based on interests and behavior specific to your services. So I have a couple of screenshot examples here that you can actually do without having a marketing company, right? So when you go to boost a post on Facebook, you want to make sure to always check the audience section on your boost or on your Facebook ad to make sure that you're targeting the right geographic area. Oftentimes, Facebook will default to the entire city or sometimes even the state, which in reality is a waste of your money. If you're going to put $25 or $35 behind a boost, you want to get it out in front of the right people for more visibility. It does not make sense to promote your practice to the entire city or to the entire state. You're wasting money. So make sure that you pay attention to that. Stick to a smaller radius around your practice, anywhere from 7 to 10 miles. If you're a more urban practice with a really dense core, maybe your radius is only 3 to 5 miles. If you're more rural and you have a larger geographic base that you're pulling clients from, maybe you bump that radius up to 20 or 30. So again, you're being more targeting and you're being specific as to who you're showing these boosts and ads to. You can also go a little deeper into the detailed section and pick a few interests that are applicable to your market. Pets, cats, dogs, pet supplies, even major pet brands out there are a good place to start. Just make sure that you're choosing interests here and not behaviors. Behaviors have a compounding effect and could potentially limit your search or limit your results and who your ads are actually showing to. So again, this is something that you can do in your practice today if you are running Facebook ads and boosting as well. Lastly, in this section, this is more of a cautionary tale, but you want to make sure that you're trusting your digital ad experts if you're working with somebody, or even if you're running your own digital ads. Don't do yourself a disservice by trying to trigger your own pay-per-click ads. We see this time and time again, owners and practice managers we work with trying to trigger their own ads, again, in efforts to find out how these ads are working for them. So they're thinking about it from their perspective only. They're trying to see what it would be like from a client perspective and what clients would see. This has negative effects on you and your digital ads. So what happens in a search now on your computer will be different than what happens in a search 5 minutes from now on your computer or from someone else sitting right next to you in the same location doing a search from their computer. Repeated searches for your ads too with no clicks, specifically in Google ads, actually is you're sending data signals to Google telling them that your ad is not relevant to users, which can have a really big negative effect on the success of your campaigns. You're essentially telling Google that this is not relevant, so Google is either going to show it less or it's going to charge you more to show those ads because it thinks it's not relevant to their users. So keep this in mind. Even with a perfectly crafted Google ad campaign with maximum bids, your ad is not going to show every time. There are so many factors that go into whether or not your ads show, including your current or previous search activity, what types of websites you're visiting, your activity on mobile versus tablet versus desktop, your physical location, and even the time of day are all going to go into this. So don't do yourself a disservice by trying to trigger those ads just to make sure that they're working. Really trust that the process is working and that your digital ad experts are taking care of you. Okay, mistake number 2, the identity crisis, using inconsistent or unprofessional branding for your practice. So a lack of consistent brand identity can 100% damage your marketing efforts. So your brand is the DNA of your practice, right? It plays a role in every single element of your business, including your client service, your communications, your client acquisition and retention, and especially in marketing. We know that consumers enjoy interacting with brands that they perceive to be valuable, honest, superior in quality, and more than 64% of consumers state that sharing values with a company is the main reason that they maintain brand relationships. And we know in our industry that the loyalty of our current client base is a key factor in the success and of the growth of practices over time. So I have a few do's and don'ts of hospital branding, just something to keep in mind. Quick overview. Do definitely think long term, right? So if you are a new practice that's starting up or looking at rebranding, think bigger picture. What is your practice going to look like in 10 to 20 years? How is your products and services potentially going to change? How might your target market change? No one has a crystal ball to predict the future, but if you think about these questions early on in the short term, it's going to help you avoid being short-sighted and setting your brand up for success in the long term. You do definitely want to get everybody on board, right? So your brand is decided at a higher level. We're certainly not advocating for branding by group decision because that's a recipe for disaster. But as a practice manager and an owner, you want to decide what your brand is at a higher level, but then you need to get your whole team committed to properly promoting your brand immediately. So this needs to be a practice-wide goal. Remember that your brand is more than just logos and colors, right? So if your brand for your practice focuses on compassionate care or fear-free practices, your team has to be committed to creating a culture that inspires and encourages compassion and calm visits for pets and people at every turn. That is your practice brand. Employees that love and understand your practice brand are really going to be your most powerful ambassadors, and that's going to resonate with your clients, and it's going to have a compounding effect with your practice success. You do also want to make sure that you're matching yourself to market, right? You want to make sure that your branding, not only your branding, but your business is matched to your market. So specialty high-end boutique practices may fall short in lower income markets, right? And high volume, low cost clinics may be perceived at a lower value or quality of care in more affluent markets. So you want to make sure that you're matched to market. And you always want to make sure that you're positioning your brand to reflect the identity of your practice, right? So clarity of what's being offered at your practice plays a huge role in successful branding. So for example, if you are a multi-species practice in that you see small animals, large animals, exotics, you want to make sure that that's accurately reflected in your brand, and vice versa. If you don't see exotics, if you're not going to see a bird or a rabbit or a hamster, don't include an image of one of those species in your logo because it creates branding confusion, right? You want to make sure that these overarching service points or specialties are accurately reflected in your hospital branding. This also goes for emergency hospitals and referral hospitals versus general practice, right? So there is a psychological effect of colors, right? So if you are a general practice, try to stay away from the really harsh reds and blacks and colors that tend to lean towards emergency, right? So I've got some examples of some client branding here that show really good examples of making sure that you're positioning your brand to reflect that identity. Some small animals, Sycamore Veterinary Services, for example, sees horses, so that's incorporated into their branding. The shot spot is a higher volume, more vaccine specific clinic. So we wanted to make sure that that was reflected in the branding as well. On the flip side, here are some don'ts for hospital branding, right? And the number one don't is don't create internal confusion. This is probably the number one mistake that we see practices make across the board when it comes to your branding. So if you have multiple employees or even multiple vendors working with you, creating content for your marketing, and yes, this includes social media, it's critical that everybody is on the same page. So consider creating and maintaining some sort of practice branding guide that's going to give you essentially a roadmap for your brand, and it's going to assure consistency across all of your marketing to make sure that everybody's on the same page. So include things like guidelines on colors, guidelines on fonts, even guidelines on content and the tone of voice that is appropriate and applicable to your practice. So I gave you just a quick example, visual example here of some visual branding guidelines for this particular hospital that really outlines colors, logo usage, as well as fonts for the hospital. This is really easy to do, and if you're working with a marketing company, you should ask for this to have for future reference and that you can share with vendors moving forward. Also, with your branding, you don't want to limit growth, right? So flexible brands are the ones that endure. As the nature of the veterinary industry changes, as your practice grows and evolves, your brand has to too. So a little tip, including geographical or proper names to your branding or service designators like emergency or specialty could potentially limit your practice growth plans later on. So keep that in mind. And always don't forget to update your marketing materials. If you've rebranded or even updated your branding, don't forget to do a marketing material refresh across the board and make sure that your materials are all on message. Throw out anything that's old or inconsistent so that your new brand is really front and center and can shine. It's really vital that you create updated materials to share your core services and offerings. So I gave you an example here of a client that we work with that has a larger complex. So we created a large umbrella branding for them that covers the entire complex. And then underneath that is easily recognizable and identifiable branding specific to a veterinary hospital, a pet food and supply store, as well as a large daycare, boarding and grooming kennel facility, right? The bottom line here with branding is that you want to be consistent, right? Professional and consistent branding is the foundation of that know, like, trust concept. So you've probably heard this before in business. We talk about it at iVet360 all the time. It's fundamental to any successful business. And the first step in that concept is getting known. So introducing yourself to the market, getting known starts with solid and consistent branding. If you're starting a new practice, thinking about rebranding, or just are generally interested in learning more about building a strong hospital brand, be sure to stay tuned to iVet360 because we're actually going to have an additional webinar dedicated to just this topic coming up in the next few months. So we're going to take a deeper dive into creating and maintaining a really cohesive and solid brand for your veterinary practice. Okay, moving right along. Mistake number 3, our untrustworthy gut, relying on feelings to make business decisions instead of data. So relying solely on our own human intuition, right, seems to offer a really reliable alternative to systematic and painstaking fact gathering and data and analysis, right? Nobody likes that. Many owners and doctors and practice managers feel confident that when faced with tough business choices for your practice, you can always trust your gut. And in some cases, that's true. But the desire to follow our gut or our intuition is often powered really by our own deeply rooted need to see patterns, right? This is human nature to see patterns. We're getting a little psychological here. And sometimes that blinds us to the realities of business decision making. Research shows, right, that our subconscious desire to identify patterns in life is so strong that sometimes we routinely perceive them even when they're not there, right? So this is a word of caution and something that we see a lot in our practices. So not only can relying on our gut in business be dangerous, but more dangerous is allowing that intuition to validate your decision making without looking at data, right? The data is going to tell the true story and let you know what's working and what isn't. The biggest example of this that we are huge advocates for is that free first exam new client offer. So free is not one of those scary 4-letter words. New clients, right? We hear it time and time again from practices that free first exam promotions are not worth it. They don't produce the type of quality clients that practices are looking for. But after doing some internal research at iVet360, we looked at over 100 hospitals running free first exam promotions, and we found out that the data told a little bit of a different story, right? So a risk-free opportunity to make that meaningful connection with a new veterinarian is important to clients now more than ever. Post COVID-19, this is important for folks to have that opportunity, no strings attached, to get in and find out if they're going to fall in love with the practice and fall in love with the veterinarian, right? One of the biggest concerns that you guys have is that free first exam clients don't have any long-term monetary value. The perception is that they take the free first exam, they bounce, they never return again. But in reality, the data is showing us that the average revenue from clients that took advantage of that free first exam differed by only $1 from those that didn't use the free first exam. Another concern that we always hear is doctors always feel that clients brought in from free first exam promotions are often disloyal. They won't return because they don't find value in their services. But again, the reality here is that they do return. Upwards of 75% of those clients return to the practice within the first 15 months. And all of this is data sourced from our free first exam article, which can be found at ivet360.com as well if you guys are interested in reading a little bit more about that. I've got a couple of really just quick client examples to give you even more solid data on that free first exam. So we ran a free first exam for one of our clients as a 4-doctor practice outside of Chicago, offers a free first exam. We ran the data within the first 10 months, and this is what we saw. An 8% increase in overall practice revenue with a 76, almost 77% increase in overall new clients. So out of over 100 total clients that took advantage of this free first exam at this practice, in that first 10 months, 9 of them never returned, and 53% of them not only returned once, but came back multiple times with an average spend of about $294, with total new client revenue brought in from this promotion upwards of $168,000. So even if free first exam is still not ringing your bell and you still have some reservations, consider doing a new client offer that maybe fits a little bit more in line with you and your practice. A $25 first exam client example here as well, which essentially for this practice, which was about a half off or a 50% off new client exam. Same thing here, we're seeing a nice return, right? We had, again, in the first 7 months for this 3-doctor practice outside of Colorado Springs, we saw about a 4% increase in revenue and about a 44% increase in new clients, right? So similar to the first free first exam promotion, out of over 100 clients, there were about 10 that bounced, that didn't pay more than $25 in their first visit, but 91% of those spent more and 60% returned, again, not just once, but multiple times, with an average new client spend of about $144 in total revenue from this promotion in that first 7 months, directly tied to this promotion at about $43,000. So if you're still hesitant with that free first exam, consider a new client offer, one that's going to be enticing to get that opportunity to get new clients in to your practice so that you can show them your services and what makes you different from your competitors. One little plug here, if you're interested in using data to drive your practice performance, we're still offering 3 free months of our Pulse dashboard. So with Pulse, you can better track your top level practice performance metrics and really understand those data points like revenue, new client growth, average transaction charge. It actually breaks down your data by provider and gives you an even deeper look into revenue from individual practice revenue categories. So no strings attached, three free months. You can sign up at ivet360.com. If you are truly going to use data to drive your decision making, this is an excellent tool to be able to help you do that. Okay, mistake number 4, closing that marketing loop. I say this all the time. Ignoring the connection between hospital operations and marketing success is going to be a detriment to your practice. In the full spectrum of practice performance and good marketing only gets you so far in terms of accelerating your revenue and new client growth, right? Your marketing strategy is going to get the phones ringing, but your well-trained staff, your excellent client service is going to be what gets them to come back, right? Overall, hospital operations play a significant role in both new client acquisition and new client retention, which is what drives your practice success. Oops, too far. So if we look at new client call conversion, so in the case of new client acquisition, new client call conversion is the most important metric that you want to pay attention to, right? You can spend all the money in the world on marketing, but if your reception team isn't effectively converting those calls into appointments, you're likely not going to see the needle move significantly in terms of revenue or new client growth, right? It's like trying to fill a holy bucket with water. You got to plug those holes first. Arming your reception team with the knowledge and the skills to be able to effectively convert those new clients is really critical to seeing a good return on investment for all of your marketing efforts. So tools like call tracking is something that we use. It's something that you can start independently in your hospital. You do not need a marketing company to start call tracking. It's going to help you better determine your new client and call conversion rates and help train your staff better to convert those new clients into appointments. So on average, you should strive to obtain at least a 65 to 70% new client call conversion rate as a benchmark for a healthy, growing practice. When it comes to operations as well, it's imperative that you get the head and the hand on the same page, right? So marketing strategy is decided at a higher level, and we oftentimes see marketing efforts fall flat when the team isn't all up to speed on what's going on. Marketing strategy is something that needs to be shared for successful implementation. Your frontline staff needs to be aware of the overall strategy for the practice and what's happening. So if we circle back to our free first exam promotion, for example, this is an excellent way to sort of coax those on the fence clients into a risk-free opportunity to meet your team and to determine if your practice is the right fit, right? But if your reception team doesn't know that you're offering a free first exam or a $25 first exam, they're not going to be able to use that as that hook to secure those fickle prospective clients or price shoppers into an appointment. So this is a really good strategy for getting those on the fencers who aren't sure if they're ready to come see you or not into an appointment, into the practice to meet your medical team. So we hear a lot, oh, this feels really salesy, right? That's it. Understandable. It may seem salesy at first, but remember, you're running a business, right? The goal is to remove barriers for new clients so that they take the opportunity to come in, experience your amazing veterinary care, fall in love with your team, and come back for a second visit, right? This also is related to building client trust. So this is critical in marketing success. So again, circling back to that know, like, trust concept. You get known with your branding, right? They come to you, they like you, and now you need to build that trust. It's the final piece of the puzzle in solidifying the relationship with the client and anchoring them to your practice. They found you, they like you, and now it's the chance to close that marketing loop and get them to trust you as a partner in their pet's care. So this trust piece is critical in the success of really any new client promotion, not just free first exam. We know that clients aren't always going to take your recommendation on the first visit, but it's the trust in your medical team and your practice that will get them to come back year after year and take your recommendations, right? So again, this comes back to operations. This is going to significantly affect your marketing success. So be sure that your operations includes trust building. Make your clients feel appreciated, like part of the family. Use client and pet names in conversations and communications. Send welcome packets and reward your clients for being loyal. The goal is to make your clients want to come back and see you, and we'll talk about loyalty a little bit later on in the webinar. Okay. Mistake number 5, we're cruising right along, the no plan. So relying on word of mouth marketing only and not having a marketing strategy. Word of mouth marketing is really effective, it can be, and it's cheap, right? So what is there not to love? But relying on this tactic as your only marketing strategy could really significantly limit your practice growth. So this doesn't mean that word of mouth marketing isn't effective. And in fact, we're going to cover this just a bit, but it should be implemented as part of a more holistic marketing strategy. So why is word of mouth not enough? It has plenty of benefits. It's an essential part of a comprehensive marketing strategy, but it also has some disadvantages. And one of those is it takes time. Successful marketing for your practice really relies on putting the message out at the right time to the right people. So word of mouth marketing may be the right message to the right people, but the timing isn't always on target. So in a service-based industry, time and effort really should be spent on new resident marketing, where word of mouth marketing may not be as effective and the timing is off. So focusing efforts and marketing dollars on digital advertising strategies like Google Ads, you're actually putting your message, your marketing message out in front of people at the right time when they are searching for your products and services. So in addition to word of mouth, this is hitting people right when they're looking for what you have to offer. Word of mouth is also limiting and it's inconsistent. So if you think about the amount of clients that you have in your practice, how many of those would be willing to review your services and refer a friend or family member to the practice? Then of those referrals, how many are actually going to convert into new clients, right? No marketing effort has a 100% conversion rate. But with marketing, word of mouth marketing alone, you're always going to be limited to the number of satisfied customers that are willing to advocate for you and promote your practice. So with word of mouth marketing, your message is also shared, but how it's shared and with whom is largely out of your control, which could really result in wildly inconsistent clients and unpredictable growth, right? And finally, word of mouth marketing, is very difficult to measure. You can monitor online reviews and referrals using analytics, but it's nearly impossible to measure your true return on marketing investment from word of mouth marketing alone, right? The way that consumers seek out and search for products and services has significantly changed, especially in the last several months. And if you're relying on word of mouth marketing alone solely for your practice, your competitors are going to leave you in the dust. It's as simple as that. Even if your competitors are relying on mediocre digital marketing strategies, if you have zero digital marketing strategies, they have a significant advantage over you. Okay. Mistake number 6, hook, line, and sinker. So not utilizing calls to action to get your clients to act and essentially do what we want them to do. The number one rule of getting your clients to act is don't bury the lead. Don't make it harder on them to figure out what it is that you want them to do. On average, Americans are bombarded every day with 6,000 to 10,000 advertisements from all media across the board. Email is a really powerful tool for connecting with your clients, but you have to make sure that you're sending the right messages to the right people with strong call to actions to get your clients to do what you want them to do. Email fatigue is a real thing. It exists. And on average, 75% of Americans say that they're completely overwhelmed with the number of emails they receive on a daily basis, which can reach upwards of 150 for the average office worker, sometimes more, sometimes less. So your client communication should have a really strong call to action that draws in the attention, piques the interest of your clients, and essentially guides them through whatever that quote unquote sales process is, what you want them to do, right? So an example we have here is a client email that was sent out for a rattlesnake avoidance class. Information is up front and there's a strong call to action immediately after the header that asks the clients to register for the particular class. So a strong call to action should include a few things. One is action-focused copy. You want to find a good balance between clear, concise, and not medical jargon content that utilizes action words like book today, call today, claim your new client offer, buy. Those are strong action words. Visit us, submit, those sort of things. Call to action also should have a sense of urgency, right? So we want to add a sense of urgency to the communication that keeps the client focused on the action that you want them to take. So limited time, expire soon, this month only, summer special, limited stock, ending this week, things like that are going to prompt your clients to act now instead of putting it off and doing it later. You also want to make sure that you're aligning with the stages of your client's particular cycle and relationship to your business, right? So it needs to be aligned with specific stages to ensure that your marketing is relevant to them. So for example, calls to action for newer prospective clients should really focus on immediate benefits specific to their current relationship with your practice, which is very minimal. Claim your free first exam, call to book your free first day of daycare. For clients at later stages in the cycle with your practice, call to actions for signing up for wellness plan, purchasing flea and tick medication in bulk to receive discounts, bonus loyalty points for compliance. Those are call to actions that are more important for later stages of the client life cycle. You can also get even deeper into this, and you can use segmentations to target your messages to make your communication stand out and garner even more action by targeting smaller subsections of your clients with messages that are specific to their needs, right? So examples of segmentation could include species specific, so sending out information specific to dogs, cats, exotics, birds, reptiles, horses, whatever you're seeing. Age specific, right? So we know in veterinary medicine that veterinary care at different age cycles of pets is significantly different and is going to require different messages. Compliance status, are they overdue for vaccines? Have they not seen rabies, Lyme, all of that good stuff? Have they not been in for a wellness exam in over 6 months? Previous procedure history. So this is a good way to reach out to folks that are coming up due for a dental. If you run an annual dental cycle with your clients and they're coming up on 9, 10, 11 months, hit them with a dedicated targeted email that's reminding them that their pets are coming up due for that procedure. You can send dedicated messages to new clients, to lapsed clients. You can do it based on loyalty status and lifetime spend. So you can actually do dedicated emails to the top 10% of clients that spend the most in your practice and give them some sort of loyalty offering, or even if it's just a, hey, we love you, you're one of our best clients. So you can segment these lists, which is going to increase open rates. Essentially, if we're looking at emails, it's going to get specific messages to specific clients, and it's going to increase the chance and the likelihood that they're going to do what we want them to do. Okay. Mistake number 7, what people say matters. Ignoring your online reputation and reviews. This is a big one. This is a little bit of a beefy one that we're going to take some time on. So online reviews play a significant role in the online world. You guys know this. They impact not only online consumer purchases, but also greatly influence the decision to seek out local products and services, which is you. So think to yourself, would you take your own pet to your hospital? If you Googled your practice name with the word review after it, would you be happy with what you saw? So competition in your market is strong, right? Most hospitals claim that they offer the best service with the most comprehensive and compassionate care. So why is a client going to choose you over your competitor? And the answer to that is your online reviews, right? 97% of people read online reviews, 97%. This is up significantly in the past 10 years. 72% of customers say they're not even going to take an action on choosing a product or service until they've read an online review. 94% say that a negative online review has dissuaded them from buying a product or consuming a service. And 91% of those lower, younger, more affluent demographic, that 18 to 34-year-olds, 91% of them trust an online review just as much as a personal recommendation. 97% of people read online reviews. 89% of those are actually reading the responses to the reviews. So people are paying attention, and what they're saying online really matters. So monitoring and managing your practice's online reputation is one of the most neglected and underutilized marketing strategies in the industry, but it's the easiest and most affordable to execute, right? So here are the top 5 reasons why you should be responding to your online reviews, all of them, right? Number 1, responding to reviews lets prospective clients know that you care about all of your clients, not just the ones that complain, right? You pay attention to everybody, not just the squeaky wheel. Responding to negative reviews is a no-brainer. You want to protect the reputation of your practice. You want to do your best to ensure that unhappy clients are heard, but why would you only recognize and reward negative comments with your time and attention instead of showing appreciation to all of the clients who took the time to leave feedback about your practice, right? The difference between responding to only negative reviews and responding to all reviews is the difference between reputation management versus reputation marketing. Ignoring positive reviews, but providing lengthy, in-depth, well-thought-out responses to negative reviews really suggests that your practice cares more about your reputation than your overall client experience, right? By responding to only negative reviews, you're simply managing your reputation. But if you're thoughtfully and personally responding to all of your online reviews, then you're marketing to both your existing and you're attracting new clients as well, right? So here's a little tip. When you're responding to positive reviews, you don't want to be generic. Take the time to include personal touches about the clients and their pets, including their names. Clients really appreciate that cheers effects. They want to go where everybody knows their name, right? They want to have meaningful interactions with the practice and really feel like everybody knows their name and their pet's name and is excited to see them when they come through the door. Number 2, responding to positive reviews can increase your client loyalty. When you respond to reviews online, did you know that the client knows that you've replied? So if you respond to a Google review, that reviewer gets pinged in their inbox that says somebody has responded to their online review for this business. This is a really easy way to let your clients know that their feedback is appreciated, and it gives you the perfect opportunity to solidify that trust. Again, so going back to that trust relationship, you're solidifying that and you're anchoring that client to your practice. Publicly expressing gratitude towards your clients really fosters that loyalty and increases the chance that clients are going to refer you to a new client down the road. So now we're talking about client loyalty. They're going to come back, and not only that, they're going to tell their friends and neighbors about how awesome you are. So a tip here, make sure that you're monitoring and responding to your reviews regularly and consistently. You don't want to have a huge gap of responses in your review timeline. All of them are responded to, and then there's a gap of 3 or 4 months when it's crickets and dead silent, and then suddenly you're back. So you want to be consistent. Think about identifying a client service champion on your team who's going to be responsible for actively monitoring your online reputation and responding to views. The main review platforms, Google, Yelp, Facebook, Nextdoor, they have notification options where it will send you an email every time a review or recommendation is left. Designate somebody on your team whose job is to monitor that and make sure that you guys are responding to the reviews. Number 3, this is the biggest one. Responding to reviews can actually increase your search engine optimization efforts. Did you guys know this? Every time that a client leaves a review for your practice, whether it's positive or negative, this is creating up an opportunity for you to provide additional SEO value for your practice. So search engines like Google and Bing, and even Yelp's internal search feature, are consistently and constantly crawling the internet to find the newest and most relevant information for your users, and this includes reviews. By responding to your reviews, you're providing searchable context about your practice and your client experiences. It was speculated for a long time, but recently Google actually confirmed that responding to reviews helps improve your local search ranking and search engine optimization. So not only does responding to reviews build trust with your clients, it builds trust with search engines as well, which is a win-win, right? So here's another good tip. Go easy on the keywords though, right? So keep the response authentic. You can organically slip searchable terms into your response. So for example, if you're responding to a review that talks about acupuncture and how the treatment is working for your pet, you can thank them for the review and slip in there that you're excited to now be able to provide veterinary acupuncture for pets in Boston. That phrase is gold searchable content. And that you're so glad Wally's responding to the treatment. So you have the client name, you have the pet name, and you have a searchable keyword term. But again, go easy on it, right? The review needs to be, or the response needs to be authentic. And the last thing that we want to do is to have clients feel like the response is salesy, right? Side note here, reviews responses are not the only content that's indexed by search engines, right? So review sites that have other user and business generated content like Google's questions and answers, those are indexed as well, the questions and the responses, which again is another opportunity that you have for even more search engine optimization boost. Side note. Okay, number 4, responding to reviews provides transparency, right? Which is going to help with your reputation. We talked about earlier in the branding section that consumers are tied to brands that they feel are trustworthy and honest and provide value. This is, excuse me, this is how you can do that, right? You leave yourself vulnerable to attack without a proactive online reputation management and marketing strategy. It only takes a few unanswered negative reviews to really cripple your business and your online reputation. Just one negative review can cost a business upwards of 22% of prospective customers. We know that no practice is perfect and that negative reviews are really part of the cost of operating business, especially in an industry as emotionally charged as pet care. But effectively implementing a reputation management and marketing protocol and actively requesting reviews from your clients can really work to drown a few negative reviews in a sea of positive ones, right? Consumers are smart. They know that you can't please everybody all the time. And oftentimes, a prospective client it will likely discount a negative review or two, especially when the practice has offered an honest and transparent response to that negative review. Okay, lastly, number 5, responding to reviews is going to attract new clients who will then post more reviews that will then attract more clients, right? So you're creating this positive feedback loop. We mentioned earlier that 91% of that 18 to 34 demographic trusts online reviews as much as a personal recommendation. So it's critical as a practice that you implement a successful reputation marketing strategy to help build trust with those prospective clients, right? As you get more reviews, again, that's that positive feedback loop, and you're showing prospective clients exactly why they should choose your practice over the competition. Okay, mistake number 8. Not tapping your strongest advocates for reviews and referrals. So again, in the same vein that we were just talking about, your clients are your best advocates, and really the best clients come from your best clients. So why would you not ask them for reviews and referrals, right? Asking your clients for reviews and referrals doesn't necessarily require special tools, although there are review garnering platforms out there that can be very helpful in streamlining or automating the process and saving your staff time. Like effectively managing your online reputation, requesting reviews and referrals is an easy way to leverage client loyalty and really grow your practice in the long term. Putting together a robust client referral strategy isn't just as easy as printing out a few cards and putting them on the front desk. It takes time, it takes commitment, and it really should be effectively integrated into your client communication strategy. So here are just a few strategies for successful referral and review garnering. So number 1, get your staff on board with the process. Your reception team is already trained to ask clients potentially when they'd like to book their next appointment during the checkout process. So it makes sense to train in requesting for reviews and referrals at the same time. It may seem awkward at first, right? But so did the idea of forward booking. And forward booking is now the normal in human preventative healthcare, and it's increasingly common in veterinary medicine now. So training and reputation is going to help your staff get comfortable with requesting reviews and referrals, and it's going to become a natural part of that checkout process, right? Also, make sure you're exploring options that already may be available to you as part of your practice management software system, or invest in a third-party tool. Whatever you're doing, make sure that you're training multiple staff members on how to use that tool so that it's being used effectively and consistently. And then don't be afraid to share positive reviews and client successes with your staff. These are just as impactful for your staff members as they are for your practice. And it's going to motivate and encourage your staff to want to receive more positive feedback from clients in the future. You also want to make referral programs and leaving reviews as easy on your clients as possible. They're not going to leave a review or refer a friend or family member if the process is a royal pain in the you-know-what. So if it's too cumbersome and too time-consuming, chances are they're not going to do it. They don't want to hunt down all the links to your various review sites, so make sure that you're, again, utilizing those review tools, either third-party or built into your reminder system or practice management. Sending those automated review quests and making it very simple by giving them direct links straight to your review sites. Again, we're talking about the big 4, right? So the Googles, the Yelps, the Nextdoors, and the Facebooks. For referral programs, make sure that the process is easy to understand and share, right? Print simple referral cards, make them available to your clients in the hospital, hand them out, or even send them to your best clients once or twice a year. The easier that you can make it, the higher the chances are that your clients are actually going to do it. You also want to make it worth your clients' time, right? So paying your clients for reviews is a big no-no. Don't do that. But it doesn't mean that you can't utilize built-in tools on review sites, like, for example, the Yelp check-in offer that incentivizes clients to check in at your business and then ideally leave you a review afterwards. So I gave you a screenshot here of what Yelp on mobile looks like, and towards the bottom right-hand side, you see the little check-in button. Then you can check on the check-ins in your Yelp dashboard, and you can actually see how many people are taking advantage of that and redeeming it. The beauty of the Yelp check-in offer is that it pings the person who checked in later on and encourages them and prompts them to leave the review. So Yelp is doing the work for you. For referral programs, you absolutely want to reward your clients for referring a new client to your practice. The reward can be varied, but typically a monetary reward is the most common and the most motivating for clients, right? Credits on a client account works well to keep revenue in the practice, but referral awards that have more of a ubiquitous appeal, like gift cards to national retailers, may be more enticing, right? It also gives the impression to some clients that you truly want to reward them rather than a thinly veiled attempt essentially to get them to spend more money in your practice. And we mentioned this already, but finally, focus your efforts. There are a ton of review sites out there, most of which consumers have never heard of and are extremely outdated. So the smaller, more obscure review sites that are less trafficked should not be a priority. So again, we said focus on the big four: Google, Yelp, Facebook, and Nextdoor. And if you haven't heard of Nextdoor, get on board. Check it out. It's a rapidly growing social platform that really focuses on neighbor referrals and recommendations. And it is built on the foundation of those neighbor to neighbor recommendations, which is really extremely helpful in attracting new clients to your practice. Okay, we've got a couple left. I know time is running short. Like, if you have to head out, no worries. We're probably going to go just a tiny bit over our time, but again, all of this is available and is being recorded. So mistake number 9, not focusing on client retention. This may seem like marketing 101, right? It's surprisingly an area, though, that gets most overlooked in hospital operations. Practice owners and managers are so focused on new client growth that they very often lose sight of the value of client retention. The best way to grow your client base, right, is to not lose them at all. So when we're looking at retention, we know that on average, the cost of acquiring a new customer or new client is 5 times higher than the cost to retain an existing client. And increasing your retention rate by just 5% could result in more than a 25% increase in overall profit. So as a practice, you should be hitting a benchmark of at least 85 to 90% in your retention rate. What is your retention rate? Do you guys know what your retention rate is? You can easily calculate it with this very simple calculator. So take your number of active clients at the start of the year, subtract the number of new clients for that calendar year, and divide it by the total number of active clients in your database at the end of the year. This is going to give you your practice retention rate. And when we say active clients, we're talking about clients that have posted an invoice with your practice in the last 24 months. So this is going to give you an idea. I encourage you guys, if you're not already, to calculate this in your practice and see where you're stacking up to that 85 to 90% benchmark. The consequences of client retention can compound over time in really unexpected ways. So simple client retention strategies can have a significant impact on your practice and really oftentimes cost little to nothing to implement. So here are a couple of strategies. Again, make it a practice-wide priority. You guys notice a trend here with getting your team on board with what we're talking about. Client retention starts with client service, and every member of your practice should be committed to the cause. So there are several reasons that clients may choose to seek services elsewhere. On average, it's usually because they are dissatisfied with the quality of service or the quality of staff interactions, right? Again, you can identify a dedicated client champion or 2 on your team that can really head up your retention efforts and make sure that every member of your staff is on the same page. Part of that is creating a lapsed client protocol. So re-engaging those clients that you already know and love is the easiest and cheapest way to increase transaction and practice revenue. So dedicate make sure you're developing a dedicated lapsed client protocol that includes client communication at various stages of attrition, right? 12 months, 16 months, 24 months. Consider adding an incentive like a reduced or free return wellness exam to get them back through the door. And also make sure that you're utilizing multiple communication channels, email, reminder, push notifications, mailers, phone calls, to make sure that you're meeting that client in the communications first space that is most effective for them. Just another plug, another benefit of our Pulse dashboard is that it automatically pulls a list of your lapsed clients every month for you. So this is an easy way to kickstart that lapsed client protocol for your staff and make it really easy for them to follow up with these clients and bring them back into the fold. Another suggestion is invest in a reminder platform, right? Technology has really changed the way that clients interact with the veterinary industry. And we know that 80% of them, again, are on their smartphones. So reminder platforms and pet care apps really put your practice and your voice right in the pocket of your clients and encourages them to be more engaged and proactive in their pet's care. It's also proven to increase compliance and really significantly reduce no-show and cancellation rates. Also, don't be blinded by capacity, right? Having a full schedule and more clients than you might be able to handle is a dream come true, right? But the decision to stop taking new clients can be a double-edged sword, right? Once you put that out there, it's hard to walk that horse back in the barn. So you may be at capacity now, but ask yourself if you can ever truly have too many clients. If you're taking into account retention and attrition, the answer to that question is always no. So the overall goal of your practice should not only be to maintain a full appointment schedule now, but also to continue to grow your client base. So before you stop that new client gravy train, pause, take a moment to look at changes to hospital operations, like extending your hours, adding additional staff or doctors, anything that's going to allow you to accommodate your current demand while also allowing you to grow your practice. Also, make sure, we talked about this, rewarding your customers for being loyal. Repeat business and client loyalty is an important foundation of your practice growth. The concept of client loyalty is really driven by fostering that emotional connection between your practice and your clients. So by rewarding them for being loyal, you're encouraging them to come back into the practice, which in turn results in increased revenue for your hospital. So loyalty programs work to increase in compliance. It can get you upwards of 30% of increased revenue, and it also incentivizes clients to purchase pet care products directly from you as opposed to discount online retailers, which is a big issue in our industry. And finally, get a better understanding of why clients leave your practice in the first place. To better understand how to retain your clients, it's important to fully understand why your clients leave in the first place. So have an ongoing list of identified client complaints and identify any patterns that can give you insights to how your practice operations are falling short. Review your record transfer requests and ask for client feedback. Those folks have already made the decision to leave your practice. Ask them why. Regularly review your online reviews. We talked about that. Survey your clients to understand what they want and need. There are free survey tools out there like SurveyMonkey and Google Forms even that will allow you to create short and easy surveys for your clients and understand what they need from you as a practice. Okay. Mistake number 10. This one's a little more fun. So not utilizing video in your marketing strategy. Using video is really engaging. It engages your clients and it builds trust, right? So videos have become increasingly important, not only in social media, but in overall marketing strategy. So on average, people spend 52% or more time on a website if there's a video that piques their interest and keeps them on the page. Because of this, Google actually gives websites with engaging video content higher ranking in search engine results. So again, boosting that SEO value. Videos can also help your practice build trust with your clients by giving them a chance to engage with you outside of the hospital. And video is proven to have higher impressions on social media, and it's 3 times more likely to show up in a user feed than just a regular post with either just content or content in an image. So you don't have to have a huge budget to create high quality engaging content for social media. Most of us have little mobile production studios right in our pockets, and with the ability It has the ability to capture and edit and post video, probably with the help just of a few online tools or apps, right? So here are a few simple ways that you guys can include video in your hospital's marketing strategy. Short, simple instructional videos for clients. So this has become increasingly important in post-COVID, the landscape, right? So a lot of hospitals had to cancel appointments that were not critical, right? So nail trims, cleaning your pet's ears, instructional videos on how to give sub-Q injections at home for daily medications like insulin injections. You can also do before and after patient stories and highlights. You can highlight your staff and your doctors. You can do an introduction or an explanation of new products or maybe complex or underutilized services. So if you're doing laser therapy, rehab, PRP therapy, digital thermal imaging. So these services that you offer that may not be necessarily understood or utilized within your client base. You can also use it to focus lost or found or adoptable animals, or even customer service videos. So I had a hospital that put out a series of videos from the doctor talking about how their coronavirus hospital protocols had changed over the course, and it was a really fun, engaging way that clients then shared in the community, and it had really good organic results for the practice. Okay, so if you're going to use video in your marketing strategy, I'm going to give you just a few basic video production tips. Again, download this, print it out, keep it on hand because these are important, right? So you want to get familiar with your camera settings. Whether it's your phone, whether it's a digital SLR camera or other type of digital video recorder, you want to make sure that you look up the recordings and you're going to shoot for a resolution of 1080p at 30 frames per second with a ratio of 16:9 and no filters. No filters. Make sure that you're framing your shot. Shoot your video horizontally, not vertically. Keep the camera eye level with your subject and shoot interviews from the chest up. And don't forget to pay attention to what's in the background. When there's something in the background that looks like it's coming out of the head of the person, it is wildly distracting in a video. Make sure you're keeping your camera steady. If you have a tripod, use it. If not, ask for help. Use a table, books, other items to support and steady the camera. There's nothing like seasickness that you get from really wobbly internet videos. Also, you want to make sure that you're using natural light. Open up the curtains, go outside, but make sure you're putting your subject in the shade. Direct, harsh sunlight can actually have a negative effect and make people look really blown out in the white balance and hard to see. And make sure you're not shooting in front of a window. Turn yourself around so the light from the window is shining on your subject's face and shoot that way. Control your ambient noise. This is a big one for animal hospitals. So find a quiet place, turn down music. You guys may be oblivious to the sound of a whining or barking dog in the background because you guys hear it all day long, but there's nothing more distracting in a veterinary video than the constant sound of a dog whining or barking in the background. So make sure you're in a quiet place. Turn off electronics. If you have a microphone, definitely use it. Also, take your time. Start the recording a few seconds before you start talking. Let it roll after you're done so you have a little bit of a buffer. Don't be afraid to do multiple takes and make sure that your content, you're planning your content and you're preparing your subjects ahead of time for more efficient recordings. And lastly, have fun. Smile. Remember, video is meant to be engaging. You want to show your clients who you really are and earn their trust, right? So basic video production tips are really going to help you maximize video in your marketing strategy and really just have fun with it. Okay, I went a little fast. I knew we were short on time, so I kind of blew through the end of that. But that is the end of our webinar today. So that is our top 10 mistakes and hopefully some tips and tricks to help you make some changes in your practice's marketing efforts to be more effective and really increase your bottom line. I hope you found the webinar useful and all of our previous webinars to be helpful and valuable. Don't forget again that we recorded this. It's going to be sent out to all of the registrants. It will also be available at ivet360.com. And don't forget to stay tuned for that full-length webinar on establishing and building a solid hospital brand, which is coming soon. So stay tuned for that. Our marketing address is on the screen. If you have any questions, specific clarifications regarding the content today, or just want to reach out with feedback, we love to hear how we can improve these webinars, make them more valuable. So definitely let us know. As always, my name is Kate, Senior Marketing Manager with iVet360. Thank you so much for attending. We love what you guys are doing in the veterinary community. I hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Take care and stay safe.